Well, hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my little gardening show. Down in the grow room tonight. It's been a little while since we've done any kind of live streaming, but to get some free time tonight, so I thought, what the hey, let's go ahead and spend some time on here. Just got back from the garden. My wife and I went out to eat, did a little date night, kind of caught up, and then I took her out to the garden to show her everything, that all the progress that's been made. My brother had been in town this last week. My dad turned 80 this past week, and we had a big celebration for him. And my brother stayed through Monday, so I ended up taking off through Monday, and then we spent a good chunk of time just prepping the garden, getting everything ready. Pulled all the thistle, mulched all the leaf mulch that we had put on it this past winter, and then staked out all the beds, like marked everything out. So it's basically ready to for the ground to be cultivated a little bit and for us to plant. But down in the grow room, I'm just kind of tending to the warm weather stuff. I haven't taken that out to the greenhouse yet because the temperatures have just been all over the place. We earlier this week it was in like the 30s and 40s, and now it's warmed up this afternoon, and maybe warmer as we head into the weekend. But let me show you kind of where we're at with everything real quick. So we got an assortment of stuff growing. I've got another round of microgreens that have sprouted, and we planted those thick, so they gotta wait another week and a half before they'll be ready. I do have a tray of microgreens that are ready now to be harvested, so I'll be harvesting those this weekend. And then I've got an assortment of tomatoes. These are about 3 weeks old. We've got DWC, Kellogg's Breakfast, Chadwick Cherry. And then I've got some Dadarino tomatoes. They're an Italian cherry tomato that's used for sauces. I've got some Sun Golds, Ananas Noir on the end there, black pineapple. I've got a whole section of Italian paste, black strawberry, which is a pretty meaty little cherry tomato that's about the size of a golf ball, racquetball. Got some more. These tomatoes here are a couple weeks older, and they're doing really well. Kind of more of the same. We've got some peppers mixed in there. I really need to separate that out because the peppers grow slower than the tomatoes. Then I've got a whole bunch of peppers here, jalapenos, and then some more tomatoes in the back. We got True Black Brandywine and Dester. And then I've got my sweet peppers here, Corno de Toro. And then we got some red tide chilies, and then Buena Mulata on the end, some eggplant, camo. We got King of the North, which is a good bell pepper. Little Fingers eggplant, and then Edgevarsky, that's a really nice sweet pepper. And then I've got an assortment of tomatoes here. I think Celebrity, and then Giant Crimson, and DWC, and some peppers. Again, I need to separate out the peppers because they're getting kind of crowded out by the tomatoes and not getting the light, as much light, so they're going to grow slower. They're going to be a little stunted if I don't. And we got some peppers on the end. My onion plants came this past week from Dixondale Farms, and then we've got a ton of onion plants. We got this. These are hybrid onions, so they're across. They're like neutral day, kind of where we live in Southwest Ohio. You know, we can grow long day, or we're on the cusp of the verge of like a short day. So these are neutral day, so they'll grow in either environment. But this one called Blush is it's a cross between like a yellow and a red. It tastes pretty good, and they did really well this last year. And then I've got another variety that's yellow onion called Highlander. But I'm going to get those planted out this weekend, Lord willing. And then I got some potatoes that are out in the box in the garage. So on the whole, everything's doing well. We've got a whole slew of cold weather stuff that's in the greenhouse, and again, I've hesitated putting it out because of the dips in the temperature, but may end up planting that this week as we're getting closer to a frost-free date, which is usually after Mother's Day, if Mother's Day is kind of late. Memorial Day for sure. So yeah, it's gonna get, things are gonna ramp up here next couple weeks, but get all these down here. Didn't take a while. I mean, it was pretty easy to make these soil blocks. Let's see if we can break one of these away real quick. I can show you. So what's cool about these soil blocks is that they air prune. So, you know, as the roots go out and they hit air, they stop. And what that does is it encourages the plant then to send out all these little capillary roots. And so the idea is that you end up with a much stockier, like stockier plant, denser root ball that's got more capillaries, more little offshoots, so that when you do finally plant it in the ground, it should do really well. You know, it's got a lot of roots to take up nutrients and things like that. Also, planting with the blocks, you don't experience the transplant shock like you do if we were, you know, had something in a pot where it became kind of root bound, and you end up having to, when you take it out of the pot, kind of break up the roots a little bit. So a lot of advantages to this. The one drawback's been watering. You know, when I first started with them, maybe we can pan in on this. When I first started doing the soil blocks, I'd max out this tray and do 5 across, you know, and 10 down the row. Well, then I quickly realized like it would be difficult to bottom water them that way, so I decided to go with just 36 blocks, you know, 9 and then 4 across, so that there's room, like channels basically, where I can take this little watering can, and if I'm careful, I can just water into this channel until it fills up. Right? Maybe go on the other side. We'll fill this up about a 1/2 inch. You know, basically all that water just seeps into the blocks and saturates them. So that's worked out well as far as keeping me from washing out blocks and stuff. But I also noticed that the blocks do retain water better. So I don't water. I water about every other day. And hopefully that's going to keep kind of the mold scum off the top. You can see a little bit of algae on some of this. I'll show you here real quick too how I fertilize them. So I've got this 2-gallon sprayer, and right now it's still got some water in it. And what I did was filled that out and put a cap full of that BioThrive Grow in it, which is organic fertilizer. I'm going to turn this around. You know, but it's really easy to fertilize these. I just pump and spray, you know, pressurize things a little bit. And then I'm able to kind of go through here, right? And I don't do it full blast. I do enough where there's a steady stream, but I kind of go through here. Try to stay under the foliage a little bit, so I can just kind of go right at the root zone and just kind of come down the row. And water that in. Come on the side here. Water that stuff in, maybe do 2 passes on each tray, then we're good to go, right? Or maybe just 1 pass tonight, since I'm going to bottom water them. This is an organic fertilizer, so it's not going to burn the plants. And again, I'm doing that about every other day. Just giving them a little bit. Just to keep them going, because tomatoes are, they're a heavy feeder. They're heavy feeders. You know, and there's some nutrients in the blocks too. Hey Brian, how's it going, man? When I make the soil block mix, I mix in worm castings and in some organic fertilizer. I think it's like green sand or something. It's a combination of things. It's worked out pretty well. But this fertilizer will keep things nice and green. Keep things growing. So that's that on that tray. Flip this around. Still got more to do. Yeah, I hear you, man. I haven't been able to plant anything yet. I'm waiting. You know, early on, I would try to rough it, and we'd try to get stuff planted, but we'd get a late frost or something, and then the stuff that I planted later would actually catch up to the stuff that would have been, you know, stunted. And so it's just like, you know, it's not worth it. Not unless I could get like some row covers or, you know, make sure everything's protected. It's just not worth the hassle, you know, to mess with it. Same with this warm weather stuff. That's why I haven't taken anything out to the greenhouse yet, because all my cold weather stuff's still out there, and there's just, I've got space here to baby this stuff along. But possibly this weekend, I'll be taking some stuff out and getting it out to the greenhouse and see how things go. Definitely want to get the onions and the peas, potatoes possibly planted this weekend if possible. I'm gonna try to make some videos of the garden because it turned out really nice this year. I think maybe I posted a short that showed some of the progress we made out there, but I think it's gonna be a really good year. Hopefully, gonna be able to grow quite a bit. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I keep these lights on. I got a timer going. Over here, everything's hooked up to a timer. It's running, well, the power strip's running off the timer. And it's powering the 2 lights that I've got, which is providing enough light to keep everything going. And then the heat mats are plugged into a different outlet that's not on a timer because I want them to go 24 hours. So got them both set at 80 degrees. I got one thermostat there and another one here to keep everything nice and cozy. The other thing I'm trying to do this year is I keep this door open a little bit just to improve the ventilation, right? So that it doesn't get so stuffy in here. Because those heat mats they're generating some heat, so it gets warm in here. And actually, last year I had a problem with gray mold on the tomatoes. There wasn't enough ventilation in the area and stuff. Yep. So anyway, keeping the door open has helped. You know, just kind of keep the airflow, keeping things from getting stuffy. I do have a fan that I could plug in, but given I'm doing soil blocks, I didn't want to dry the blocks out. So it is what it is. Once we can get these outside, you know, these will harden off to a little bit. These would be a little bit stockier if I had a fan on them because it would strengthen the stems, but they're doing okay. These Italian pastes, they look a little weird this year. I don't know. I mean, hopefully they make it. Again, they're only a couple weeks old. They still have a whole nother month that they'll be in the trays. The peppers will probably still be a little bit small. Hopefully they'll gain some size here before too long. I think they've filled out the blocks. Or they're, well, maybe not. There's a root there on the bottom. So a little bit behind the tomatoes. These are doing real well. In fact, you know, there's roots all the way. And on this, that's a nice little plant. But they're starting to grow into each other because the blocks are, you know, about an 1/8 inch apart. So anyway, that's what we got growing in the grow room, and so I'm gonna finish up some watering and then see what's going on upstairs. I hear the kids jumping around up there. So anywho, appreciate you tuning in, Brian. And hey, there's Tom. Look at that. Tom's on now. Hey, buddy. I was showing Brian the tomatoes. They're looking good. They're looking real good. This is your pan right here. No gray mold this year. At least not yet. Yeah. Appreciate that, Brian. I'm trying to figure out what this is. Look at that. It's got like a yellow streak in it. What is that? It's like and it's a tomato. These are all Italian paste there. It's weird. There's the peppers, and there's we got some eggplant going right there. And more eggplant here, the little fingers. They're looking real good. So yeah, anyway, I've just been putzing around down here, watered some of the stuff, kind of showing what's going on. I was getting ready to go upstairs, and then I see a couple of people just jumped on. So yeah, I saw your video, by the way. I guess you got hosted by Zero Carb or some channel, some documentary about the keto carnivore diet and stuff. That's cool. That's crazy, man. I'll cut back on carbs myself. I'm not eating like, used to have some bread for breakfast and stuff, but like I've been eating some eggs, coffee, but not eating the bread or the toast. And then if wow. I don't know if you ever seen the documentary, the what is it called? It's a reality TV show about people that live up in Alaska. 0 degrees or something. I forget what it's called. They go to different places and they're following like these different people that are living it, and that's pretty much all they're eating for the most part is meat. Occasionally some vegetables. You see them mixing some vegetables occasionally, but most of the time they're just killing a moose, a bear, a seal, whatever. Fishing, gutting it and the stuff right there, and then later on they're roasting it on the fire. There's something to be said about that. I mean, it probably is way that's awesome, man. I'll have to talk to my wife about going carnivore. No, I don't know. I like vegetables. I love tomatoes. I love peppers. Um, Lettuce is pretty good as long as it's got salad dressing. Though the microgreens have been real good. This is like my 4th round growing these. Are super easy to grow, and these are ready to harvest. And they're supposed to be packed with nutrition and stuff. Supposedly like 40 times more nutritious than like the full size equivalent because you're getting green algae. Yeah. Yeah, when I'm getting the green algae on the soil blocks, I just cut back on watering, and then it usually dries up, takes care of itself. But this stuff's pretty yummy. I haven't done like broccoli or cauliflower or any of those yet. I've been using my old seed. I had a ton of lettuce seeds, so I've just been using that. But we have fresh greens in, and then this can go on go with eggs or basically whatever we're eating as like a little side garnish or something. You eat them fresh; they taste sweet. Like got a little buttery sweetness to them. But we've been doing that. Let's see what else. Well, I did get one of these. This is a little hedge, lithium ion hedge trimmer or whatever, and can use that to cut the greens. And then I got some oven parts. So this past weekend, again, my dad turned 80, and we had a big party for him, and we were tasked with making the cupcakes for that, basically the dessert for everybody. And then we had another family that had ordered some cupcakes from my wife. So anyway, she goes to preheat the oven, and the oven's it's not getting hot. It's not warming up. And I was pretty sure I knew what it was because I've replaced the igniter on that oven like at least 2 times in the last 7 years. And so sure enough, I got in there and it was burned out. I think I still got it. So this is the one that's burned down. You can see that white mark there, and this element is like burned out. So it wasn't glowing like it should to heat anything up. And so to take that out. Well, anyway, that happened that night, and they don't have these parts local that I could find. So I ended up having to order one on Amazon. It came next day, so the next day we had the oven fixed. But yeah, I was like, maybe next go around we'll go ahead and grab me an extra one. I did got the bright idea, like, oh well, I'll just swap the one that's on top, the broiler, because it's the same part essentially. But then quickly realized the cord or the wire to it was a lot shorter, and so that didn't work. But by then I already had it out. I still haven't put it back in the oven yet. I'm gonna do that this weekend. Ended up redoing the plug. I guess these they're called Molex plugs or whatever. I was doing a search online, so I ended up got a little tool. It's like $7 to remove the wires, like to rewire it, to reuse the little Molex plug and just rewire it. So anyway, we ended up borrowing a friend's oven. Actually, 2 neighbors let us use the oven, so we were running pans across the street and running down 2 houses down. Got them all done by like 9. Ended up being a good party. See, you get a Molex tube, Tom? Well, I have to remember that. I mean, now I got one, so, but the seed and toilet paper question, that does work if you got it in like a Ziploc bag, and basically if the conditions are such that you get enough moisture and heat, the seeds are going to sprout. I think the problem I had with the toilet paper the last time was the roots growing through. It was just, I let them go too long, and so the roots were all tangled. So it took a little bit to get them out. Since then, I haven't really grown them in toilet paper or paper towels or Ziploc bags. I just put a bunch of seed in I'll show you what I use. The best thing was just to get one of these like 4-inch or 3.5-inch pots and fill it with potting soil a couple inches high, and then just sprinkle your seeds in and cover it with a light coating of potting mix, making sure that it's wet. The soil mix is wet first before you put the seeds down, and then make sure there's good contact, and then make sure the top's saturated, and then you can cover it with saran wrap or put these in a 10-20 tray, which is what I did. A 10-20 tray like this. This one's kind of busted, but it's like 10 inches across, 20 inches long on the inside. And then put a cover over it, a clear cover, and within about 3 days, stuff will start sprouting. And once it sprouts, just remove the cover and then let things go until I let them go until they were a couple inches tall, and then dug them out, separated them, and then I put them in soil blocks. In the soil blocker tool, I put the larger dibble on that. It comes with a shorter one that's shallow if you're just going to direct sow into the blocks, but for transplants and for like larger seeds, use this larger dibble insert, and it made enough of the hole that I was able to put the little seedling in and then just press the soil around, and it's done fine. Took a little bit, but pretty well know how to make the soil block mix the consistency you need so that the blocks stick together, and then ultimately the end result is get a really nice seedling that the roots are air pruned for the most part. Though there's a few that grew out because there's soil block next to it. But as I was explaining earlier, what that does is once they hit the air and the air prunes, it stimulates it to create all kinds of capillary roots. So you end up with a lot stronger root system because there's all these little capillary roots that shoot off the main roots. It fills it up, fills that little block up. Makes it a little bit hardier of a transplant. So anyway, things are growing good. Excited about this year. Well, I should probably jump off here because, like I said, the family is they're restless upstairs. I hear them running around and stuff. But I appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll catch you all on the next one. And at some point in time, I'm gonna have some seedlings here for you. As the weather gets nicer, I'll bring a pan. We'll hook up. I'll hook you up with some seedlings, and also if you saw the onion sets or onion plants, they're in. So I'll have plenty of those too for you too, if you want to do onions this year. Cool. All right, Brian, we'll catch you later as well. I saw you say good night. And we'll catch you later, Tom. Until next time, happy gardening.